Those are hot laps.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go see how the sound sounds.
What are you up to? What have you been doing?
Well, Mama moved in with me, so we do a lot of stuff together. She goes to the races. I'm announcing Fridays and Saturdays.
Where at?
KC Raceways for micro midgets
Yeah,
on Friday,
yeah.
and Saturday I'm at Valley.
Oh, really?
Been
So you're
there.
doing the valleys now too now?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, when a big race comes, the Power Eye guys,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
they bring in their talent.
They're getting a pretty good crowd up at the KC Raceway, aren't they?
No, not really.
Oh, I'm talking about cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
But you know, those micro guys have always been kind of clannish.
Yeah,
It's hard to get them away from Sweet Springs.
yeah,
That's like the Taj Mahal.
yeah.
You know, really, that's probably the nicest micro track in the country.
Really?
At Sweet Springs.
Really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
It's like that. They'll tell you, those micro dudes, that that's
Well,
their
the one down
Knoxville.
Port City's not too bad.
It's good, yeah. But, and it's probably more respected than Sweet Springs because that's where it all started.
Yeah, it's been there longer, yeah.
But Sweet Springs, they started in a park in town.
Yeah, about over on the south side, yeah,
Right.
yeah, down by the river.
Sounds good on
And
YouTube.
before that track was there, that was one end of a bigger track that used to be there in the 50s.
Really?
Maybe your dad knew
No,
that.
no, Dad.
Did he always race in Texas?
No, he came up here, we used to race, he came up here and raced midgets at, I know I was like 10, 11, 12 years old, they came up here and raced midgets at Olympic. Hey, I remember coming into town before they had the bridge. You had to go down across the railroad tracks to get to Olympic. That was in the late 50s, I know. And then in the mid-60s, we came up here, when I was still in high school, we came up here during the fair dates, and that's when he knew Butch, he knew Jerry before then, and that's when we'd hang out at Butch's shop.
Well, you got a fascinating
So that's
history.
how I got to know them.
It's like you fell in with the right people when you guys come up.
Well, I was, like I said, my dad knew. Oh,
You about ready?
Yeah.
We're on YouTube here.
Are we on?
Here goes.
Hello, YouTubers. We're going to introduce the show here in just a minute. We're waiting for Facebook to catch up with us. All right, race fans, welcome to The Works, local racing roundup on Facebook Live. It's also on YouTube. I was just talking to the YouTubers. They got a glimpse first. But you can watch us on either one. And the last several weeks, we've stumbled onto something that's pretty, it works pretty good. Where are they now? And we've dug up another one.
easy.
I shouldn't say dug up, but here he is, Junior Parkinson, man, his legend in open wheel racing. And we're going to start out with a picture of your dad, Ralph Parkinson Sr., and that's you, Junior,
That's me.
when you were little tyke.
That's me.
And that is, maybe it's considered an open wheel car, but that was down in Texas.
Yeah, that's
is
in
that right?
Wichita Falls, early 50s. That's they ran them out at the old Wichita Speedway. That was just the old stock cars, what they call them. Yeah, but that was my dad raced there for him and Lloyd Ruby and a bunch of guys. I mean, but him and Lloyd were two of the biggest names that ever came out of there. But I know, listen to Dad talk, I know Judd Larson used to run up there with them, and I mean, there's a lot of guys that from Texas used to run up there with them. So, but yeah, that's one of my dad's early time. That's let's say early 50s.
That's cool.
Because he started midgets right after the war, and ran midgets he run midgets seven nights a week around home there. He was running midgets, and then the stock cars came in, and they moved over to that.
Do you remember much of your family experiences in Texas? We're talking about racing on a level there. I'm not sure what happened when, but how old were you when you and your family left Texas?
No, well, I'm the one that left Texas.
You're the one that left Texas.
Dad and I, well, he raced in Wichita Falls and Lawton and Dallas, and raced all around in Amarillo, northern Texas, southern Oklahoma, for years until he started running got into he run stock cars and modifieds, and got into wanted to start running the sprint cars more. And we came up here, and he'd been up here before, but the first year he came up to run what they call back in the mid '60s, run the fair dates, the county fairs, the state
Right.
fairs, with a sprint car. And that was the first time that we came up here to really spent the summer to run, because we did in '65 and '66. And then he came back in '69 and really put on a permanent effort to run the IMCA, finished fourth in points that year. And wow, that's my mama.
Hey, that's your
Yeah,
mama.
that's
That's
mama.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's my mom.
So you lost your dad a few years back.
Yeah, Dad died in '06. Mom just passed away just in the end of December. And yeah, so I lost them both now. But yeah, that's my mama.
Well, she did a good job raising you. Imagine a big
Yeah.
old boy there
Yeah.
being her baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're the little guy in that picture down in Texas, and
Yeah.
here you are. You know, you've had a terrific career, and when I was growing up, not necessarily knowing all the racers, I knew the name Ralph Parkinson Sr. You know, I knew the name Junior Parkinson. I think I got over and lettered one of your race cars.
You did. Yeah, you lettered my dad's car, yeah.
And it had the number 65, I remember that.
No, you lettered, it was at 66.
66.
Yeah, you lettered his car.
Okay. And it was an open wheel car.
Yeah.
I didn't get to do too many open wheel cars back in that era, because Lakeside was primarily a stock car
Car track, yeah.
track. And then I'd love it when the sprint cars come to town, because I grew up over there near Marshall, Missouri, part of my life, and they had stock cars and sprint cars both on their Sunday night card. And-
Sportsman Speedway, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Sportsman Speedway. And I learned about open wheel racing more there than I did Olympic. I would read the Sunday paper in Kansas City about all the racing here in the Kansas City area, a lot of it open wheel, and the midgets were big.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that early Kansas City racing experience with your dad.
Well, I left Texas to come up here in the late '70s, August of '70, something like that. I came up here. I was driving a car out of Dallas, and it wasn't doing very good. And the guy finally moved and sold the car. So I told my dad, I said, I'm going to move to Kansas City. And he said, okay. And I moved up here to start racing, and that's how I got here. And then 2 years later, he moved up here.
Uh-huh.
And wow, that's another picture. That
Yeah, it
picture
is
right
though.
there, that's Tampa, Florida. Chris Economaki took that picture. The guy was
Right.
on National Speed Sport. Took a picture of that, and in fact that was in the
That's your dad on the left,
yeah,
and then you're on the right.
yeah.
At the IMC Winter Nationals is it the Florida State
Yeah,
Fairgrounds in Tampa?
Tampa, yeah.
Which-
Plant Field.
There's not any more fairgrounds racetracks left hardly in Florida. But that was a big deal for dirt racers in the wintertime. You go down to Tampa. And
Oh man, that's a big deal. You
That's
go out
huge.
and spend 2 weeks and race 5 days. Yeah, that's quite a lot of fun.
Now, we talked about number 66, but Jay Lyle, I mean, not always all the Missouri racers knew each other, but are you familiar with Jay Lyle?
Jay Lyle and Chad, I'm good friends with him and Chad both, yeah.
His dad had a number 66, and my favorite picture of his dad was at Tampa, and he got her cranked sideways, and Opperman was down there, and you were, I'm sure. And who's this number 28 out in front?
That's Duke Cook. This is a USAC race at Terre Haute.
That's at
Probably
Terre Haute.
77 or 78, 79, somewhere on there. That's Duke on the pole in the front, and Jerry Weeks in the 35 car, and I'm on the outside there trying to run the top.
Looks like you're doing a good
Yeah,
job
we
of
did-
it.
We did all right.
You recall that race?
Oh, we ran quite a few at Terre Haute. I mean, I don't know. I did okay at Terre Haute.
Terre Haute's a legendary racetrack.
Yeah.
And you're up there, who knows in this picture, do you remember if you were on the way past these two
Yeah,
gentlemen?
I was passing them. I remember that because I got by them, and I don't know. This is the day. I know one day I missed the show qualifying. I was out early and it had rained and the track was not real good. I missed the show and I had to run the B. Didn't get to run E. That's another.
There's the 65.
There's another at Terre Haute. That's Johnny Parsons in the 55, Knipper's 55. That's Costello on the outside and Boston Louis 29, Rich Level, and he's father-in-law's car, and that's Weeks in the 35 car there. And that's in the feature, I can tell, because I see the left rear.
That's a Terre Haute.
That's Terre Haute, yeah.
That picture gets me so excited.
Yeah.
This is an awesome shot,
Yeah.
man. And the 55 car is, they still race a team out of
Well,
St. Louis.
it's out of Belleville, Illinois. That's
Belleville.
Knipper's. Junior Knipper owned that car, and his boy Steve was running midgets. Now Steve's boy's racing midgets. But yeah, that was Knipper's car. Yeah.
So the 65 kind of became your number because
Yeah.
your dad was the number 66.
Yeah.
And that was was that a bolt-on cage
No,
car?
that's welded on.
That's more of a modern torsion bar car.
Well, that's a 4-bar. Yeah, all these cars. Well, the car right behind me is a spring front, but most of them 4. Oh, that's a whole shot out there. That's Tampa, Florida, fairgrounds. That's me and Hank Smith's car. Oots and Toby Tobias. I was leading that day. About 4 or 5 laps to go, the ring gear and pinion went out. I was leading the feature.
Oh, wow.
Burkle and I started in the front row together and went into one. He kind of beat me and went down the back chute. And he tried to do everything to tear that wall down there in 3. You see the dirt tore down, but that was him. And I was leading the feature about 4 or 5 laps to go, the ring gear and pinion went out. It cost me the win.
This is just it's blowing me away because you're talking about Rick Burkle and Toby Tobias.
That's
These are
Toby.
legendary
Oh, yeah.
dudes. And here we kind of left off. You came to Kansas City as a kid and you had a few connections, but how did you get in your first race? What was your first ride? I mean, how did you start on this path that led to this great racing?
I hollered at Dad's car quite a bit, and one day somebody put me in a car, and that's kind of how I started. Ooh, that's another good. That's Oklahoma City. IMCA race. That's 11 on the pole, me front row out in Red Porsche 84 car.
So that's Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City on the half, yeah. About 1973, something like 72, 71.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I won that day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That was Shane Carson just a kid then? Or?
Yeah, his dad was promoting the deal then. His dad was still alive. His dad was promoting. And that's an IMCA.
You say this Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City.
Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Wow. I just about called Shane. I was going to have him call in and have him ask you some questions, but I didn't do it. But Greg, what do you think? Man, these pictures.
And it's just amazing me. I mean,
Isn't this all?
he's got some great pictures. I mean, one of my favorite of all time racing period, is when they would go down to Florida and race at Tampa.
Yeah.
I just went through some great pictures from down there. And then Oklahoma City, and now where is this?
This Des Moines
That's in Des
Fairgrounds.
Moines.
Now, which car are you in?
It's me in the 2 car. It's Gary Macetta's car, and Tim Green in the Coors car.
Really?
That's
gosh.
a state fair race right after Knoxville.
And that's like the beginnings of the World of Outlaws series, right? I mean, that's...
Well, that would have been 83. As the Outlaws were going on, Outlaws started in 78 in Dallas. But that's 83. And, so, yeah, we'd run Knoxville the night before and the fair ran the next day.
But even at that period in time, Knoxville wasn't a World of Outlaws race, was it?
No.
It really hadn't reached Iowa.
Well, they ran there, but the Knoxville was still their own deal.
Yeah, I think they were kind of flying under their own banner
Yeah,
still
yeah.
and not really needing the World of Outlaw name to get any more cars or drivers.
Now, you primarily came along with USAC and IMCA, but did you get into the World of Outlaws series early on?
Oh, yeah, I was raced the first Outlaw race, and I was there in 78 in Dallas at Devil's Bowl, the first one. But I didn't follow much. I mean, there was too much else going on.
Locally,
And I was running USAC at the time, too, so.
Yeah, this is Knoxville.
That's Knoxville. It's the night I won the Trophy Dash.
Trophy Dash.
In Macetta's car, yeah.
And then Macetta's car's got your number on it,
Yeah, well,
65.
But, yeah, and I won a feature there in first one was '83 when I was still driving for Mazetta, Vienna. And my dad and I were the first. Dad won a feature there at the Nationals in '69, and my dad and I are the first father-son to win features at Knoxville.
Oh, really?
And that was
Same year, you mean?
no. The first father-son to win features
At
Knoxville.
Nationals?
Wow.
No. Anytime at Knoxville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And
Oh, really?
And that was, I mean, back then there was some Blundy and his boy.
Yeah?
There's a lot of guys that had sons that were racing, but Dad and I were the first one.
Yeah.
That's 75. That's at Florida. That's Hank Smith's car. That's the car I drove it in Florida that year.
Glasses? You wearing glasses there?
I was in, yeah.
Well, that's got to be a Springer front car, is it?
No, that's 4-bar.
Oh, I see now the 4-bar.
That's a 4-bar.
Those cars, the evolution of the sprint car, they haven't evolved all that fast, but they haven't changed dramatically compared to a late model.
Oh, no.
And you can still kind of, it's the same concept, but I get a kick out of the tires and stuff.
Yeah, no kidding.
Little rear
Yeah.
front tires. And you can tell kind of the year, if you're good, that's what, about
75.
75
Yeah.
in the 70s.
I tried to arrange these, I thought, in some kind of order, but I don't know
That's all right.
how good I did or not,
Now-
but it's irrelevant.
There's no wing tabs on that car.
No, that was before
that-
before the wings were really big into it.
Terre Haute.
That's Terre Haute. One of the, I don't know what year it is, but that's the USAC race. That's Terre Haute, and Terre Haute Mac sponsored me for that race.
Did you enjoy the non-wing USAC style of racing? Or?
Well, yeah, I always liked the non-wing stuff because you had to be able to drive the race car where the wing kind of glued you to the racetrack and made it. It took, I won't say took more, but you really had to work at to drive a non-wing car versus a wing car most of the time.
Well, I think the driving ability really shows in non-wing cars, but
Yeah.
but it takes a man of steel to drive a wing sprint car as fast as they go too. I mean, it takes a lot of more motor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Did you guys have much for motors back
No,
then?
back then we didn't. Not like now. The outlaw motors. Those guys are spending $50,000-$60,000 on a motor.
Well, back in that era, I mean, you could pretty much build a motor in your garage.
Oh yeah, we did. Most of our motors were. Yeah. They're the same picture a while ago.
Yeah. I know Charlie never drove a sprint car. His were super
They're
modified.
modified, yeah.
But they just took Corvette.
But I know guys.
Motors.
I know guys that they just go to buy a short. Well, I know Dad did that a lot of times. He'd go buy a 327 short block, bring it back to the shop, and they'd clearance it, both set of heads on it, and go race it. That's,
Yeah. I don't know how many times I used to go down to Feld Chevrolet and buy them over in Kansas City, Kansas when it was going. But man, I'm just so glad the way these pictures turned
Yeah.
out.
Oh,
I
they're
thought
great.
They really came out really well for that little bitty camera that I do that with. You wouldn't believe it. It's only about like that. It's just a little bitty thing.
Oh, I'm intrigued because we're seeing racetracks that don't exist
Yeah.
anymore. Tampa and
Yeah.
Oklahoma City and Des Moines.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and people that don't exist anymore either.
Right. Look at that one, man.
It's another Terre Haute.
That's Junior down on the bottom
on the
this
bottom.
time.
Yeah.
Well, that other car's sure leaning over, isn't it?
Well, it got up in the dust, and he's trying to find something. That's
Yeah.
Jerry Weeks in the Bourne car.
Huh.
I don't know which one, but one of these pictures is when, like I said a while ago, I missed the show qualifying. I had to start the back of the B, and I ran third or fourth in the B, made the show, and came in, tried to fix my tires. Well, they went and got me a new set of tires for the A. Started the back day, and I ran third that day behind Bubby, Benhausen, and me run 1, 2, 3 that day.
You believe these names we're hearing?
I know, that's
Greg?
so amazing.
That's pretty good.
I mean, it's no wonder that the Parkinson name is so big
Yeah.
in racing, because he raced with the best of the best.
Yeah.
Man. It's
I
incredible.
know there was Bob Mays who just did a book, another book, him and Pat Sullivan and Mahoney did a book on those dirt cars, champ dirt cars.
Uh-huh.
And he's getting ready to write a book about, that's at Lincoln, Nebraska, about 1970, of John Red Forsh's car. I won the IMCA race that day.
That's the fairgrounds in
Yeah,
Lincoln.
it's Fairgrounds at Lincoln, yeah.
Another track that's gone.
I'm just wondering about how high that nose piece, or tank piece is.
Yeah.
That thing is
It's up-
tall and up
yeah.
off the ground there. Wow.
And Red, that was Red's car, and I think it was a stretch midgets what it ended up coming from.
Oh,
There's
really?
something
Yeah.
unique about it. Yeah.
It was good on dry slip.
Huh. I'll be darned.
Anyway, Mays is getting ready to write another book about the IMCA from about 70 and up. And he said, I'm only going to do winners. I said, oh, man. I said, I'll be in that book. He said, yes, you will. I said, I won 2 or 3 races at Lincoln. He said, yeah. He said, I saw him. So he sent me a deal. One of the races that I won there, he said, here's the slugs you beat that day. There was 11 National Sprint Car Hall of Famers in the...
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went, well, I said, okay. I said, that's
Slugs.
I said, thanks, Mays. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I must like that picture. There it is again.
Yeah,
There must have been more than one of those.
probably.
Is what it was.
Are these taken from Junior's album?
Well,
Yeah.
they're all in that folder over
Yeah.
there, and I just set them up in there in the kitchen. Didn't really pay any attention to them, or be honest with you. I just started snapping them, put another one up, snap it, and kind of lost track, I guess. But heck, that's all right. Where was this at now?
That's in Des Moines.
Des Moines?
At the fairgrounds.
I've never been up there.
That's not there anymore.
No more, huh?
We've yet to see a picture of him at a track that still exists.
Oh, Terre Haute.
Oh, Terre Haute, yeah.
Terre Haute.
Yeah, Terre Haute. That place is older than dirt anyway.
Yeah.
I made it there once. I went up for Indiana Speedway and got to see him run down at Terre Haute. That was one of the tracks I really wanted to go to. That and Kokomo. Don't ask me why.
Ah, man, anybody that goes to Indiana, that's on their bucket list.
There in Bloomington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
But I thought, man.
That's Knoxville.
3X. Is that you?
That's me. That's my Stanton car.
Your Stanton car. Did somebody own that?
No,
You're
I
the
did.
driver?
No, I owned it.
Yeah, I think I remember seeing you drive that around here.
Yeah.
Around town.
Yeah.
Some.
Well, in fact, that's the car I was running at I-70 in '85 when I won the championship.
And this is at Knoxville?
That's Knoxville, yeah.
Got her pitched in there. You can tell that one's got 4-bar
Yeah.
torsion arm.
These pictures are just so unique. I was just in awe this morning, Greg,
Is that,
taking me.
is that the drag slick era?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, see, we was running drag tires in Pennsylvania in the early '70s.
And you kind of brought it here, didn't you?
Well, I didn't bring it here, but they got out. I mean, we came back in '73. Yeah, '73, and I know Kenny, Jan, and there's 4 or 5 of us came back with the drag tires, and yeah, we did a pretty good job. That car out there belonged to Gary Mullen out of northern Missouri, Gallatin, Missouri.
That's a good looking old car.
He owned he still owns the car wash over on Independence Avenue, on the gas service up in Gallatin. And that's the car, when I-70 was pavement, when it first opened up, that's the car I ran out there. When it first opened up as pavement.
That's what I thought was so cool about that time era, is in middle Missouri, they just had a collection of some of the best maintained built race cars anywhere. I mean, they were above the bar, I think. Now they set the bar at Sportsman Speedway and Sedalia, and then I-70 come along, but that was a heyday. And that car there is good equipment.
Yeah. Speaking of running.
That's a bolt-on cage, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that is, yeah. Put that other picture from Florida.
I presume the number 5 there, that's a mud shield.
Yes.
Or dust or
Yeah,
dirt.
well, it's sand,
Rocks.
keep the sand out.
Yeah.
Because that racetrack was nothing but, they called it clay, but it was sand.
Yeah. Plus, when I first seen this, Greg, I looked back here and I thought, man, That's pretty heavy cushion, but I think there's
That's
a
the
wall.
wall. That's the
There's a
wall.
wall
Yeah,
there.
that's a wall.
The
Yeah.
dirt wall.
Yeah.
I thought, that ain't no cushion, there's a wall there.
And that's Bill Oots.
Bill Lutz and Toby Tobias.
Oh, really?
Toby
Yeah.
Tobias, you can't see him very well.
Yeah.
You would have had to have been there to know that was Toby.
Well, yeah, Toby and I, when I was in Pennsylvania, Lee Osborne introduced me to Toby, and we got to be good friends.
Some guy here in Kansas City, I believe it was Lee Summit, he bought one of Toby Tobias's 17 cars and brought it back, kept his number. I thought that was not right. At least change the number on it.
Yeah.
But he had me put his name on it. And it was a cantilever car, cantilever suspension.
Yeah.
Well, Bill Curtis had that car for a while.
Did Bill have it?
Yeah. That's another picture of Des Moines. I don't know who the car is behind me, but that's me in the front there.
Yeah. Was this some form of in-car camera, early stuff here?
No, that's a mouse. That's the mouse on top of my camera.
Oh, okay.
Oh, little mouse, stuffed animal or something?
No, it wasn't stuffed. It was just a little plastic mouse.
Ah.
There's a story behind that deal. In '73, when we was running the All-Star Circuit of Champions, it was Opperman, Kenny, Allen, Stevie, Paxton, Osborne. We're all running, and the final race of the year was going to be at Manzanita in Phoenix, and Jimmy and them didn't want to take the car out there because we had two more big races, the Grove Open and another big race to run. He said, I want to do the motors. I said, all right. So we second in points, but he didn't pay anything. So I said, all right. So I came home and was going to drive Dad's car out there. Well, I get there, and they have a media tent set up, and wait for the race. Oh, that's Eldora. That's 1977. That's one of the first times I ran at Eldora.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Anyway, Wendy McDonald came up, the announcer and the PR guy, said, you don't have a car entered. I said, no, they didn't want to bring the car back. He said, so what are you going to drive? I said, I'll probably drive my dad's car. He said, well, don't move. I'll be right back. So he went, gone for a bit, come back with some guys and introduced me to Eddie McNeely, who owned the Mickey Mouse cars that Darryl Doctor and Jerry McClung drove. And back in the day, the Mickey Mouse cars, they were a big deal out on the West Coast. And he said, tell me you got a ride. I said, no. I said, told him why, and he said, you drive Doctor's car, he's hurt. I said, cool. So I got in that car, and we ran third in the heat, my qualifying night, made the A, and then ran fifth or sixth on Saturday night. And I finished second in points, and they always thought that was a pretty good deal. But anyway, his stuff was the Mickey Mouse car, so Carl Bacher owns Arizona Sports Shirts, made me some shirts, and called me Mickey Mouse of the East. And so I put them out, and so that's how that deal got started. So then I started running the mouse on my car.
I think I remember you having that.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'll be darned.
I always like cartoons painted on race cars.
Yeah, kind of neat. I agree. Okay.
And I'd like to tell you what it is, but I don't know. It's a USAC. No, it's not a USAC show, because that's the 410. I don't know where that is.
How can you tell it's a 410?
Because it's got those headers on it. The 305 had different headers on it.
Oh.
I'm betting that's a racetrack in Nebraska.
No, I don't think so. But I don't remember where it is.
Definitely out in some flat farmland somewhere.
I like the tin work on that car. It's got just a hole for the headers to come out there.
Well, so those were called Zoomies. That's a Champ dirt car I drove when I ran USAC
That's
for 3
really
years.
cool.
That's a DeCoin.
Yep.
I thought that was one of the miles. When I seen that, I thought the only racetracks I've ever seen with a lake is a really big track.
Back then in the early 70s, or in the 70s, they didn't run the half miles like they do now. We only run the mile tracks with those cars. That was a car that's a McAlery's car out of Texas that Lee Osborne was driving, and he got in trouble with USAC, so they banned him. So he put me in the car, and then I started running the car.
Huh.
That mile tracks out that way kind of are stepping stones to the brickyard, aren't they?
Well, they were.
At one time.
Yeah.
You ever get close to the brickyard?
Well, I was there a few times, but that was it. I went in and hung out.
Yeah.
That's about it, yeah.
Now this, you're talking about the drag slicks and all that. This is probably, are those Firestone?
No, those are Goodyear Diamonds. All that.
The Champ Diamond?
Yeah.
And I can see the,
Beautiful
there's
car.
another 3X.
That's a I-70. That's the car I won the championship in '85 out there.
That's a Cunningham auto body on it?
Yeah, Old Independence. That's Jack Cunningham's nephew,
Huh.
Hmm.
Pinky.
A&B Collision Repair Center.
That's Dan and Bill Bailey over in Riverside.
All right.
Hmm. Hometown folks.
Yeah.
Got a mud cover on it.
Yeah.
That was like state-of-the-art stuff then.
And what is that on your driver's seat?
Suburban body.
Suburban body
Yeah.
shop. Was that a Kansas City outfit
Yeah,
also?
over in Merriam, yeah.
Hmm.
So that was a car that you owned, that
Yeah,
car,
yeah,
that
yeah.
particular one?
That's a Stanton car.
Did you have any chassis you really liked, or was it just kind of going with the winner of the hour?
Well, I like the Stanton car. It was back early when Mazzetta, Bill from Mazzetta, he had a Stanton car.
Yeah.
That's in Tampa, Florida. That's 72. Yeah, 72. That's a car I ran in Pennsylvania. That's Sidell Brewer, and that's a Travis car. That's a car I ran in Pennsylvania.
Well, it's interesting, that right front wheel is mud covered.
Oh yeah.
That must have been extremely heavy track that
Well,
day.
they watered it good. It didn't stay that way long, but they watered it.
That's something noticing that, Greg. I didn't pay attention to that. And boy, that thing is really covered, almost like it was rolling under or something.
Makes me want to go there and see that race in person.
Well, see, they just put lights up, and we ran on had 2 nights, Wednesday nights we ran under the lights, and the lights weren't very good.
Wasn't good enough.
They weren't very good.
I'll be darned.
That's a cool picture.
1972.
So what's the significance, once again, of the number 98?
That's the car, they owned the car, and that's the number they had on it. That's the Mickey Mouse car I drove in Phoenix on the inside, and I don't know.
Is that at Manzanita?
Yeah, it's Manzanita, and I don't know who that is. See the mouse on top of the cage?
Yeah.
Those were the Mickey Mouse cars. And I don't know who that is on the outside. I'd have to ask Jimmy Blanton would know, but I don't know.
Well, it was
The
a
old
nice,
injectors coming out
I
of
was
it.
gonna say, nice looking hot rod that
Yeah.
day. Really low slung, it looks like.
The car I was driving was a Don Edmonds car, Don Edmonds 4-bar.
I was out at Manzanita a few times, and I really liked that place. It reminds me kind of like a Knoxville, but the dirt had to be completely different.
Oh yeah.
It's about the same size as Knoxville, but it was right down there in what they would call a river valley, as dry as it is in Manzanita.
Yeah.
I mean, that track would have some tacky hammer-down
Yeah.
surfaces, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame that place is gone.
And what a classic shot. Goodness.
Did you race here around back in them days? I mean, was that
Not
your winter?
not year round, but I raced from February till end October, 1st November.
Yeah.
All right. About like it is now.
Now this looks like it could be some local sportsman
I
racing. here.
think that is in Lincoln, Nebraska at Eagle.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who the 28 car is.
But you're in the
The
9.
the 91, they put a 1 on it, yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's not a weld car.
It was at one time, yeah, but
I
I
was gonna say,
think,
it's got that look.
but that's, Dale McCarty owned that car then.
Oh, good.
Oh,
I think the 28, it might be Don Drought Sr., I think.
Looks like they took a barrel up there for the hood.
Yeah.
Just took a barrel, cut about a third of it, put holes in it for the,
Eagle's still racing sprint cars today.
Oh, yeah.
They 305 race savers.
Yeah.
yeah.
There's the 84 car.
Yeah, that
here.
looks like that.
That's at Lincoln.
Yeah, that's the one that's a stretched midget or something.
Yeah.
Well, I said that, and because some guys told me that, and
It looks like it.
it
Makes sense.
wasn't.
It's got an interesting story behind it, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
it's got a different configuration or whatever to it. It makes it look kind of strange, but
Did you win anything in that car?
Oh, I won a lot of races in that car. Yeah, won
Any idea how many you won in your career?
I have no idea, no. Not a ton, but I mean,
Yeah.
I like to run up front so you can make money.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it would be just awesome back in those days. I don't know what your method of transportation is, but a lot of them drivers that were helmet bag drivers, they just carried their driver's suit in their bag and hopped in the old station wagon and go, and they'd have a ride somewhere, you know. Do you recall it kind of being that way?
Well, and when I drove for Red, yeah, I mean, he lived in Wichita, and I'd show up and drive the car.
Yeah.
That's Eldora.
Oh, the old guardrail.
77 or 78.
Yeah. Now that's your dad, right?
That's Dad, yeah.
Yeah.
Dad and I.
Boy, he's proud of you.
Probably, probably 78.
Had he given up driving by
Yeah,
this?
yeah, because he won the IMCA championship in 76, then ran the next year for the champion deal. He only ran like 7 races. And he talked to me late in the year, and he said, "Don't you come home, we're going to go run USAC." I said, "What do you mean you're going to run USAC?" He said, "No, I'm going to take you up to run USAC." I said, "Okay." So I came home from Pennsylvania and went to run USAC the next year.
Did you and your dad race on the same track together at
Oh,
times?
oh yeah, yeah. And IMCA especially, raced a lot of times together.
Looked like he was kind of what I would call fairly typical of a lot of drivers of that time. Big arms, shoulders.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Forklift.
Well, back
Human
then,
forklift.
well, back then, I mean, most of the cars didn't have power steering.
Yeah.
That was another. I won. I think it was 1970 or 71. I won a feature. It was red 4C on the left, and Dad on the right. In fact, Dad was racing that day. He got his uniform on.
Huh. That's cool.
Well, now I know your mom wasn't very tall.
Mom was only 5'5". Dad was only 5'8".
Where'd you get this height from?
From my mom's side of the family. Mom's brother was Uncle Don's he's like 6'5", and Grandpa was like 6'6".
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Imagine a guy that's that size, Junior. What, Mom?
Look at I think my dad. I can't see what it says on his hat.
Well, can we see it up here?
I know.
Can you read that over there, Greg? On this one?
I can't.
I can't either. L-D-A-L? I can't make out the second word though. No, I don't know what it is.
I got a Well T-shirt on, a Well racing T-shirt.
Yes, I think you do.
Yeah.
You were great friends with the Wells, weren't you?
Oh yeah.
Still a great family. I mean,
Oh yeah.
well, there's not really any drivers left.
Oh,
But,
no. Well, all the 3 brothers are all gone. Jerry,
Right.
Greg, and Kenny. You know, TJ's building wheels out in California. Greg's boy.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jerry had 4 daughters, and Greg had TJ and Brock and
Brock.
Christian, and Kenny had 2 daughters, and that's, so no, they didn't have it. I don't know where that is. Not sure. Oh, it says Lawton, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That was a deal that Lanny ran, because we ran Devil's Bowl, Lawton, then went to Oklahoma City.
Mm.
That's 79.
Yeah. Did I-70 take any special preparation as far as car?
Oh yeah, because of the bank.
Cool.
It was, yeah, it was definitely you had to do some things with the car you normally didn't do.
Yeah.
That's at the East Bay. It's me. I'm on the 65 car, and that's Pitzer. The Pitzer or Kenny, I don't know what. I think it's Pitzer in the Wacker car in front of me.
Yeah. So you had to make a few changes to the car.
Yeah, you had to put stiffer bars in it, especially with the wing.
Yeah.
And you just had to change the car around because running the banking on that banking and load the car,
Uh-huh.
and you had to make some changes on it.
Yeah. And what about mentally? Did you have to do anything before you went out on the track?
No.
Like I asked Jamie earlier, did you ever have any concerns about that short wall up there with the dirt?
Was it intimidating at all for
Yeah.
you?
Just,
Not just another racetrack?
yeah, don't hit it.
Don't hit it.
Don't hit it.
I love that.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that in RC racing. Just don't hit that infield pipe. How was East Bay?
Was-
I've been down there several.
Well,
February
I
races.
loved it. It was, it was a great racetrack.
Oh.
That was a day race.
Jan Opperman on the ride.
That's 73 in Phoenix. They were
Kenny.
they were trying to get Opperman and Kenny together to get a picture, and they couldn't get them together. And they said, "Can you do something?" I said, "Yeah, I'll be there just a minute." So I grabbed them. I said, "Come here. They want a picture of you guys." So I stood between them, and they looked at me and said, "What are we gonna do?" I said, "I don't know. I'll take you to supper, and I'm buying." And they both thought it. They took a picture of it. That's what
like
came out of the deal.
Yeah.
Like you're separating them.
Yeah, there's
Oh, there were sometimes they needed to be separated. Trust
Oh,
me.
really?
Oh, yeah. There was,
Who, I mean, you knew them both personally,
oh,
but
yeah.
who was most likely, would you, if you had to call one of them hot-headed, which one would it have been?
Oh, Kenny.
Kenny?
Yeah. Kenny just, he didn't like Jan's ways.
Huh.
Yeah, Kenny would, yeah. I remember the first couple of weeks I was in Pennsylvania, we were running the Grove on Sunday afternoon, we were lined up. I'm about fifth row back there. Going down the back straightaway, they're just winging on each other. I mean, they're just beating the hell out of each other. And I thought, boy, this first turn ought to be a son of a gun.
Uh-huh.
And that's just the way Kenny, and that's just the way they did. I mean, those two were, they were it.
Just weren't friends.
No, they were it.
Huh. I'll be darned. This
Yeah.
is the picture, Greg. I figured
That's amazing. I'm just in
that
awe.
you would really appreciate. I mean, Jan Opperman.
Well, Jan wasn't necessarily a Kansas City driver. At
No.
one time he lived in Beaver Falls,
But he came
Nebraska.
from the West Coast.
but he just, I include him in local legends. I saw him at Lakeside
Yeah.
when I was a kid, and just, he was big as life, bigger than life, you know, and so was Kenny Wells and Junior Parkinson, you know, to have them
Yeah.
all
I mean,
in
that's
that picture.
that's kind of the way I remember it was when you mentioned Jan Opperman, just saying his name, it was somebody that was held in such high regard, you felt like in sprint car racing.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
And-
Because he came back from California and started racing around here. And I know he drove for Bill Smith for a while, and a couple of guys, and
Yeah.
raced here. Then he went to Pennsylvania, and that's where he made a hell of a name for himself
Yeah.
up there. And Kenny was already there.
Yeah.
Oh, Kenny went out there first.
Oh, Kenny was out there in 67, 68, something
That's
like
right.
that.
But you know, on the same token, Kenny Wells was another name that
Oh,
was
yeah, he was huge.
spoken with in reverence or
Well,
whatever.
any of the well,
Yeah.
you go somewhere and you mention the well name, and everybody goes, "Wow, Wells."
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean and you tell people, say, yeah, they're legendary in this part of the country, but they're legendary all over the country.
Well, when a Weld wins the inaugural Knoxville Nationals, that's a pretty big.
No, he didn't know.
Did he win
No.
63?
No, the first one was in 61. Roy
61.
Robbins won the first one, Jerry Rappert won the second one, and Greg won the third one in 62.
Did he? Greg won it.
Greg
He
in
was an
60.
early winner.
Yeah.
He was an early pioneer.
Oh, I
won
would have thought it
62.
was Kenny or somebody.
No.
Or
Oh, Kenny wasn't, Greg wasn't but about 16, 17, something like that.
when he won it?
Well, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
And then Kenny was, he won it several times. Which one won it most?
Kenny, 4 times.
Kenny did.
Greg, Butch ran second, I know once and maybe twice. Becky ran second to Greg,
Huh?
yeah, in 62.
I'll be darned. But anyway, just that, man, Junior, you're in a picture with them guys.
That's, yeah, and I can truthfully say that they were both good friends of mine, yeah. I mean, yeah.
You're like, and that illustrates, I mean, it's like you're the glue that holds a lot
No,
of things
no,
together.
no,
Yeah.
no, all I was doing is
Come on, Junior.
the guys there at the paper wanted a picture of them, and they couldn't get them together, and I said, I'll get you one.
Yeah.
Big, tall, happy
Wow,
guy.
Yeah.
there's Raymond Lee.
And now, kind of in your, shall we say, later years,
Yeah.
you and Ray Lee.
Raymond Lee Goodwin, who we talk. He rides around heavy. He used to work for Bill Lude, so he'd go to breakfast almost every day.
Yeah.
And I get a call from the Dos Raymonds about 3 or 4 times a week,
Dos
see what's
Raymonds.
going on. But yeah, I see Ray Lee. In fact, Ray Lee, 2-3 weeks ago, we went to. They have a reunion over in St. Louis, and Danny Fry Jr. called Ray Lee and invited he and I over
Yeah.
there for that deal, and that was, it was pretty cool that we got to be over there. And,
Yeah.
and Danny Fry talked, he was introducing people, and he got Raymond and I brought us up to the front and told people about what we did, and
Uh-huh.
it was pretty cool. That was very nice.
Yeah.
We had a good time over that day.
Well, if he was ever in Kansas City, I'd love to sit
Yeah.
down and
He,
get him.
if you want him, I can get him up here. It's not a big deal.
You think so?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There you go, Greg.
Ooh, that's my honey.
Yeah, there's Linda.
That's Linda Wells, Jerry Wells' oldest daughter. My honey.
That looks like Knoxville.
No.
Those backs on the chairs.
I don't think that's Knoxville. I think I don't know. Maybe Lakeside. I don't know where that is.
Well, wherever it's at, you're pretty happy to be
Oh, yeah.
there.
I'm very, very happy that she came into my life.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now, did you ever drive for the Wells?
Oh, yeah. I drove for Pappy. So, when I was driving for him when I left here and went to Pennsylvania, Greg and I were talking. I was working the nights down at the wheel company turning centers for Dilly.
Yeah.
And was talking, and he said, so you're going to go to Pennsylvania? I said, yeah. He said, you'll be all right. I said, well, I'm driving for your dad, and it's just not.
Uh-huh.
He said, Dad, stuff's getting old. He said, you need to go. He said, just keep your nose clean, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
So I went to Pennsylvania, came back, and ran the next year. Then in '74, I came back, and it was a quick time over to Well Memorial over in Lakeside.
Yeah.
And he was standing there, and he said, told you. I said, told me what? He said, told you you'd be all right. I said, you're right. I said, thank you. But I said, yeah, I do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Where was this at?
That's on the back of Chris's car. They call my dad. He had a nickname, the Burly Texan, like you said, because
Burly
he was so big.
Yeah.
And so that's Chris put that on the back of his remembrance of Dad.
I'll be darned. Well, that's great.
Yeah, they called him the Burly Texan.
I'll be, that's a
That
good
was his
deal.
nickname,
Yeah.
You were talking about Ed Dilly, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ed, I've heard a story, I don't know how true it was, but Bob Williams' older brother,
Kenny.
Kenny Williams, died at Topeka
Topeka,
Fairgrounds.
yeah.
Ed Dilly, was he the first one to the car?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea, because I wasn't here then.
Ed would come in, when I worked for Emig, and he told the story about, Bob wasn't there, because Bob was very emotional, but
Uh-huh.
I heard a pretty graphically described account of that incident,
Mhm.
and that would rock anybody's world.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
absolutely. I've kind of heard some of that too. Absolutely. Well, Ralph Jr., I'll get it right.
It's all right.
I got it in my brain here. Appreciate you taking some time out, and especially these pictures. Man,
Not a problem.
these are iconic.
Brings back memories for me.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
What a treat.
We've been saying for the last 3-4 weeks, Greg, it's a shame that these can't be seen more and appreciated, for what they are, because to me, like so many other things in life, what's ahead of us is best understood by what's behind us.
Well, these pictures, I've had a lot of people send me pictures, and we got some off the internet and stuff, but Linda's got we got 2 albums at home that all these pictures came out of.
Yeah.
And she told me, sort of said, I want those pictures back in there like I had them. I said, that's terrible.
Sorry, Linda, I tried to be careful.
Boy,
I didn't take none out of anything. They were all just loose.
Yeah, but
Tried to do
I
it.
took them out of the books last night.
Yeah.
I want those back in there like they came out. I said, okay.
Yeah.
there's nothing better than seeing pictures directly out of somebody's album.
Oh,
or
man.
a racer's album.
And these were just fantastic. I mean,
Yeah, I got some I didn't even bring.
I thought I was blown away last week with Keith, some of that stuff from the old Lakeside and whatever, but when I seen these, Greg, I know my mouth dropped open because I thought, gosh, that's classic. I mean, this is sprint car racing the way it was. Just the way it was. But one final question before we kind of close out here. Who was the best sprint car driver you ever raced against?
Man. Well, it'd be hard to say one, but I mean, I raced against some
Yeah. You did.
pretty good guys. I mean, let's just go with USAC. I We start with Poncho
Yeah.
Carter, Bigelow, Bentonhausen, Sheldon Kinzer,
Greg, are you moaning over there?
Parsons,
Sheldon,
Steve
yeah.
Chassie. I mean, I can go on. Bruce Walkup.
Yeah.
How you can go, I mean,
Yeah.
go on and on. Back east, of course, Kenny, Jan, Allen, Stevie, Paxton, Osborne. I don't want somebody out. I mean,
Yeah.
Knoxville, Knoxville was big back in '83 when we go from Mazette up there, we ran for the championship. It was Randy Smith, T.J. Giddings, me, 1, 2, 3 points, and Rocky Hodges.
Yeah.
We were the four guys. Billy Robinson from Topeka,
Yeah.
Dr. Gilbert, and Manzanita Speedway. I raced out there several times. Of course, McClung, Dockery, all that bunch from the West Coast. Dean Thompson,
Yeah.
Oski.
Sure you raced against Schumann.
Yeah, he was okay. He was
Okay.
Ronnie and Billy both.
Yeah.
Leland McSpadden.
And Leland.
Oh, yeah, I remember Leland.
The Tornado.
Yeah, I remember when they used to come
So I
through
mean, I can
Yeah.
go different parts of the country. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, one I wanted to ask you about, I know he won the Nationals 2 years in a row. How about Eddie
At
Levitt?
11. Oh yeah. Fast Eddie. Yeah. At 11, I'm good friends. Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I talked to Butch, his boy,
Yeah.
occasionally, and I see him when we go to Knoxville. Yeah.
Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to from the past?
Well, several of the owners that, well, they're not here anymore, but, Red Force put me in a car around here when nobody else would even look at me, and I did very well in it. And back east, a guy named Russ Smith owned a Ford dealership in a big camper place, and he knew me from Florida.
Uh-huh.
And I looked down there about 2 weeks and couldn't find a ride, and he put me in one of his cars, and the car that we run second in points in the All-Star deal with, and I drove for Bob Wackert a couple of times.
Did you really, Wackert?
Yeah, I drove just a couple of times. But and of course, Gary Masada from around here, I would go for him before I went to Pennsylvania. When I came back, and he thought we did very well together.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I drove for Pappy around here quite a bit before I left, and
Yeah.
I mean that was my steady ride for quite a while before I left.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you can go on YouTube and an older race that's been well preserved is the first World of Outlaw race at I-70 when it was dirt.
Yeah.
I think it was 1983.
Agree. Yeah.
And if you want to see Junior back in the day, I think you can pick him out in that YouTube video.
We won the heat pretty convincing that day. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's talking about go back in time.
Well, and we won the championship there in '85.
That's right,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
I-70.
yeah.
But that's prime time for me. My memory
yeah.
banks is that first time dirt was covered over I-70, and some of the phenomenal racing that we saw back in that day.
Well, I mean, that was fun. I
That's
love
the
it.
way that you can kind of go back in time.
Yeah,
And,
I think a lot of people are going to remember I-70 from the asphalt racing there,
Oh,
but it
yeah.
was those 3 years when the dirt
Yeah.
was on it that, to me, were just heaven on earth, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was just fantastic.
Well, we're going to be back to I-70. I'm going Sunday.
Sunday.
Practice. We're going to see sprint cars on that configuration, which has been slightly modified, but
Yeah.
it's got a runoff area at the top of the bank before you hit that wall.
Mhm.
So it's basically a 3/8. But it'll bring back a lot of memories.
Absolutely,
And a
certainly
lot
will.
it represents a new era, too.
Yes,
Absolutely. Oh, yeah.
yeah, sure will. But once again, Junior, let me thank you again for, like I say, getting the pictures together and
thanks
for
for-
taking some time
Thanks for thinking enough of me to bring me over for this. This is pretty cool.
and spend the evening with us. These things are so much fun. I hope everybody out there is enjoying them as much as we are getting to do them here, because me and Greg are just eating it up, ain't we, Greg?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
golly, this is like reliving my childhood almost. I feel,
Thanks.
20
I
years
appreciate
younger.
it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's stories that, I could keep telling stories about some of this
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, we could have episode
Yeah.
upon
Oh,
episode.
Yeah, absolutely. But folks, we aren't done. As I said, hopefully earlier, we recorded an interview with Jamie Hager earlier, and we are going to play that for you here right now, and that'll finish out the evening, and I'm pretty sure Greg will probably leave, and him and Mama's going to want to go home, but I'll be here to close out the show for tonight. But once again, thank you, Junior, for coming by,
Thanks
man.
for having me, man. This has been fun. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. But that's it for right now, folks. But I'm going to start the video. And like I say, it's going to be Jamie Hager, and he'll be representing the late model part of the class for my 70 on the dirt. So just sit back and enjoy this.
Now,
Let her fly.
Jamie Hager, I know you'd like to see his interview, but Jim Hager, got history with Jim?
I don't know. I just knew who he did.
Just knew he was,
Yeah.
Yeah, there was... Well, we're fortunate in the studio to have part of a legendary family. Once again, we got a lot of great memories from Kansas City area racers, and if you remember the Cigar Man, number 171, Jim Hager. Some of us are old enough to remember him, but I know you guys remember Jamie Hager. Good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Mike, I think you got us ready to go here.
Absolutely.
You got a hold of Jamie, and I'm glad you did.
Well, I was wondering for a while.
He's-
Finally called Tim Carrick.
Right?
And Tim says, hey, you want his number?
Oh, yeah.
I said, yeah. Because I figured Tim would have it, but
Oh, yeah, we talk about it every day.
yeah. But first off, Jamie, it's just, you know, you never really had a chance, I don't think, of not being a race car driver, because your dad, Jim, of course, drove race cars as you were growing up, and you were a product of that environment. I mean, Greg, how many guys do we have on here that are sons of race car drivers that become race car drivers? I mean, it's
Pretty much standard fare, isn't it?
kind of an endless story, isn't it? But, you know, I think part of it is just the idea of being around racing, let alone having a relative that does it. That probably really played a big part in it for you, because idolizing your dad or looking up to your dad, you probably thought, man, I think I want to do this.
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah.
Well,
That's very true.
Go ahead, Greg.
Well, I'll let you go ahead.
How old were you when you started, shall we say, following in his footsteps, or, you know, going with him to the races? I mean, did you do that at an early age? Because I know back in those days they never even let kids or women in the pits.
Oh, yeah, I was young. I was very young. I couldn't remember what year, but I went to out Liberty, and we started going. I couldn't go unless I went to school first. If I missed school, I couldn't go racing.
Well, good for him.
And the first time I got in trouble in school and got kicked out for fighting, I didn't go to. I didn't get to go to the races that weekend, so
You did go there.
I didn't get no more trouble
So did you?
because I like going.
Did you do your studies, your homework inside of an old car in a junkyard somewhere?
Oh yeah, just drive them all through the yard. We used to run into each other out there.
Yeah.
Anything that ran, we got in it.
Did you really?
Fly through there and crash and everything else. Yeah, yeah.
Now, did your dad own that, or did he run it, or what was the association with the old Liberty Bend
He owned
salvage?
it. He owned it. He owned it. Yep. He
Wow.
owned every bit of it.
Wow. So that there again, that's where your occupation more or less comes
Yes.
from, because you're running, what is it, all-in-one?
All-in-one metal recycling on Blue Ridge. Yep.
On Blue Ridge now. So, man, your dad's, whatever you want to call it, karma or whatever, just followed right over into you.
Yep.
Just full time.
Just kept on going.
So
Yep.
you mentioned driving cars around the junkyard there. I mean, you and your, I assume some buddies and stuff, you'd run into each other and tear
Oh
stuff
yeah,
up?
we tore the shit out of things. Oh yeah, we tore some stuff up. We did.
Well, I like hauling stuff to the crusher. I mean, that's a high time, ain't it? To sit
Yes,
there and
it is.
watch them cars go down.
Yeah.
That's right.
I was out there in the yard looking around the other day. You know, I was looking for some hubcaps, and I'm not sure because I lost my attention span with it. But the guy come in there with a forklift, and I think was going to pick one of them babies up and take it away to the crusher.
That was me.
That was you?
Yeah, it was me.
Was it really?
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you do it all.
I sure do. Sure do. Yep.
Yeah. Man, that looks like it'd be fun.
9-hour days usually.
Oh man,
Yep.
no, that wouldn't be so fun.
Yep.
I
So
don't know.
all in one. I've been out there and I thought that was you on a loader.
That was me. Should have
That's
weighed me down.
Are you partners with somebody on that? That's
No,
another
no.
racer had it, or did you start it from scratch? Or Seemed like I knew another Roberts family had a place down the street.
They owned that at one time.
Little Robert, okay,
Yes, that's what, that's the same place. And now his son is part owners in it.
I see.
Oh, okay, but they just changed the name
Yes.
to be more in time, rather than junkyard. Now it's a kind of what do you call it? Take it yourself, or whatever you call that.
Just come out, pay $2, come in and pull your own parts.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Wow,
Now,
okay.
I think it's maybe interesting to kind of look at the history of how these families are entwined. We've always heard of the Roberts that had I-70.
Yep.
Have you been lifelong acquaintances with them through
Yes,
the salvage
long time.
business? Now, there's a Dennis Roberts, or there was, right?
Dennis Senior is now got a tow company.
Okay.
Dennis Junior is actually the half owner of All-in-One.
Well, I wanted to clear it up because there's a good restaurant down on Buckner Tarsney Road, just north of 40 Highway. I guess it's 50 Highway. It's called Porky's Barbecue, and in there it says Dennis Roberts established this place.
Mhm.
Now I know the Roberts at one time
He's
had
got a
restaurant.
yard out there on 50 Highway,
Yeah.
County Line Auto Parts.
Right.
Dennis,
I wonder if
Dennis
that's Dennis owns that restaurant then. They used to have restaurants.
At one time on 40 Highway used to,
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah, okay.
Well, anyway.
Senior did.
Greg, you know who that is?
Oh, yeah. 171. That number was famous when I was a little kid, and I'd watch.
Little kid.
And I was a little
Was that
kid.
60 years ago?
Yeah, dude. I go back. I'm older than you, but I'm younger than your dad.
Yeah.
I ain't that old.
I'm looking at this right rear fender. Is that Schumann
Schumann Automotive.
Or I always pronounce it Schumann
Ralph Suman,
Automotive. Where were they located?
Kansas City, Kansas. Good motor builder. He's good.
Yeah. I was going to say, back in the day, a lot of motors that guy put together.
And,
out there.
and
Built
every
a lot
one
for,
of them was fast.
Yep, he did a lot of for Billy Deckman.
Did he?
Yeah, a lot of.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that now, too. Absolutely. But like I say, as a child, that had to be fun to be involved in something like that. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the only kid on the block whose dad's raced.
I haven't raced in a while. I haven't raced since all my ears got messed up and I couldn't.
Uh-huh.
But I'm still in the blood. I still go to Lakeside every Friday.
Yeah.
Try to get Carrick back in victory lane, but that's been a job.
Yeah.
They'll get her though. He's
He don't give up, does he?
He don't give up.
He does
So-
not give up. I agree.
So I've noticed you've kind of become, I guess you could call yourself a crew chief or something. I mean,
I used to be pretty much on. I used to go out there. We've been so busy at my job now. Last couple of years, I used to go to Tim's once a week, but we talk every day. We're in a group message, and we always talk. So
right.
I'm in the loop, but as
Yeah.
far as working on the car, I don't.
Ain't got time.
During the week, I don't.
Yeah, okay. I think you were saying this was down at the old Liberty
That's my
Bend there.
dad's. Oh, Hager's Liberty Bend. Yep.
Yeah. How old here? I'm guessing 19, 18,
Yeah, 18, 19.
something like that.
Hard worker. Look at me.
Had you had a first race in that by that time?
Oh yeah, I was racing them. I was. Yeah, I was. I had the old blue 171 at the old Lakeside.
Huh.
I raced against my dad a few times.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Oh, that had to have been fun.
Oh, it wasn't fun with me because that was horrible.
Did he give you trouble about your driving?
Oh yeah, he told Huey one time.
Yeah.
He says he walked over to my dad. Huey, no, my dad walked over to Huey. He says, Huey, I don't think my son's going to make it as a race car driver. And Huey looked at him. He says, Yeah, Jim. Yeah, Will. You got to give it time.
Yeah.
My dad looked at Huey. He says, I don't know if I got that much time.
I
But
can
that
see
was funny.
cigar
But
in
I
his
tell you, the
mouth.
first time I won, he was the most happiest dad that you could ever
Oh, I bet.
imagine.
I bet. One thing we need to make mark of on this picture here is the flagman, John Cassidy, Greg.
Yeah, John.
If you remember John, there again, we ought to get him on sometime. You talk about where are they now. That guy just kind of disappeared off the scene. And
That's Huey's daughter to the left.
is it
I
really?
was wondering.
Yep, and the other lady used to work for Mike Goodwin at Carbrite.
Really?
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, see, my youngest boy worked at Carbrite, Donnie. I don't know if you remember him or not, but when they were in Riverside.
Yep.
There's the
Yeah.
number 9. I want to hold on this picture.
Hold on the picture.
Yeah. The 171 was famous, and like I said, I watched Jim Hager growing up. And come the time, I guess Fred said you need to get Greg to letter your car. So I got the letter with the 171. I was really excited about that. I don't remember if I did more than one, but is that when you started racing? Did you drive that Fred's 171?
Yep.
Okay. But you drove the blue one before that.
Blue Monte Carlo, blue Camaro.
Right. And then so you got in this, I think it was a Camaro body car
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Now, did Fred own it?
No, my dad did.
Your dad did?
Yep.
Okay. Well, now there's some kind of relationship with Goober. Of course, everybody had a
Well,
relationship
Goober
with
is him and Huey's what got me going.
Right.
Got me really on the map.
They're like extra dads.
Yeah, Huey's like a dad to me anyway. He's always, I see him, I go every time I get off, have a day off, I go by and see him at shop. He's there, still working away.
Yeah, well, on this note, wasn't Huey, though, the speed shop that he had, I mean, it was kind of the speed shop in
Yes.
Kansas City.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
And with him and Huey probably working together,
Yep.
why, you kind of had the best of both worlds.
And
Yeah, yep.
talking about this car, it's interesting for two or three things. It says Day Automotive,
Well, that's what I was.
which people have always wondered, is Huey's last name Day? Now, Huey
I did too for a long time.
took
that car
over
right
that
there
business.
is, Huey owned that car.
Did he?
That's the car that
Did he really?
we dug up, if I remember right, we dug this up back of Fred's shop one time. It was tore up, and we fixed it and raced it.
I'll be darned. And this is asphalt at I-70,
Yep.
this picture right
Yep.
here.
And
Aaron Daniels put that body on that car.
Did he
it
really?
looks like an Aaron Daniels.
Gosh, I haven't heard that name in a
Style.
while. There's another one. Greg, I got to start making a list when we do this.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah, they didn't like my back window.
I think
It was
it
kind of
looks
radical.
neat. Yeah, I think it looks neat.
Everything I always had was legal.
It almost looks like a Corvette
It ran like one.
back window.
That was a
It
fast
ran like
car.
it was.
But Day Automotive, John Day is the one that originally had that.
Yep.
And then Huey, I think, worked for John and ended up taking the place
Yep,
over.
Sure did.
And then now, obviously, by this time, Jamie's impressed everybody where they took the 1 plus 7 plus 1,
Yeah.
I'm assuming, and that's how you ended up at 9?
Yep, had them through together. It was because we was running NASCAR, and you couldn't run three-digit
I
numbers.
see.
Uh-huh.
So I just added all three of them together.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
Why not?
So this was, what, your fourth race car? Fifth?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You had another modified before this one, though, didn't you?
yes.
I thought you did. And,
What-
and you'd made a transition to asphalt. Did that come before this connection with Huey and this car, or?
Yeah, actually, because I started racing pavement is when I teamed up with Huey.
Yeah.
I see.
I think we talked earlier, and you were saying that this is your dad. And
Yes,
he was
ma'am,
getting
yep.
an award from CARB,
Yep.
I presume, for a points championship or Sportsman
I'm
of
not
the Year
sure.
or something.
I think that was IMCA.
Oh, okay. All right.
I think. Did he run IMCA?
He
I think
did.
that's an IMCA
Those-
trophy.
Those Chevelle body cars kind of represent the last of what they called IMCA late models that toured to the fairgrounds and stuff. And Jim would race at Sedalia every year. It's a big deal. It was IMCA up until
Yes,
about
absolutely.
77 or so.
Oh, he used to travel the whole series.
Right, Shreveport and
Yep.
Des Moines and
Yep.
all that stuff.
Yeah. Well,
Sure
and,
did.
and like I've said before, the fair races at the end of the summer were usually kind of the culmination of summer's activities as far as racing went. And a lot of times they would actually crown a state champion or
Right.
something like that for the, out of the fair race. They were really big deals.
Yeah, the fair race, that mile track was the funnest.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
Oh, you could be flying down through there
You raced the mile,
twice. Yep.
did you really?
Yep.
Oh,
You
my
got
God.
to do that. That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. I think this is a nephew of yours.
Yeah, Bradley. That's old Bradley.
Now, how old is he now?
He's 20, almost 30, I think now,
I was going to say.
and he still looks about the same.
Kind of looks like that kid off of Talladega Nights.
That's it.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I think that's the first car with Huey right there.
Is it?
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And of course, you can see the end of the letters there, Greg, of Hager's Liberty Bend
Right.
salvage,
Right.
which I think I've seen on several cars. If I remember right, he
Back
sponsored
in the day,
several
yeah.
cars, didn't he?
I got to say, at this point, I think this lettering was Pat Gann, and that's appropriate.
Pat
right?
did a lot for me,
Yeah.
yep.
Pat lost his brother, Dennis Gann.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
sad. That's
Absolutely.
very sad.
Right. And they got a lot to do with the history of Kansas City racing
Yes,
too.
big time.
Anybody that raced at Old Riverside ought to be in the Hall of Fame. You know?
Well,
I
Just
mean,
talked to Dennis a few weeks ago, too.
did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny how those things work out like that sometimes.
Yeah.
It blows your mind when you do that.
And that was a
But-
good-looking car there.
That was a good-looking car, and that North Hills Auto Mart is the one that's Pat Black, if I remember right, and he owned and helped Dennis Gann back in the day, many
Oh, really?
years. Yep.
Yeah.
Then
Of
he
course.
started sponsoring me and helping me, which
This is about 85. This is dirt at I-70, right?
What it looks like. We've been
Is that
debating
dirt?
on that.
Well, you
'cause I
got-
think that's the pit wall there, Greg. You really can't see the track.
Well, he's got mud screen.
Yes, he does.
Mud bars.
You're right. Yeah, he does.
but
But
I
this,
don't know a year on that one.
That was when NASCAR come to Lakeside, and
That's got to be early in the season because it's still straight.
it's like brand new, dude.
It ain't all tore
okay.
up.
This is so appropriate because what we're actually kind of celebrating or whatever talking about tonight is I-70 reopening
Yes.
as a dirt track. And between what we saw from Keith last week and some of this stuff that we're going to see here tonight, Greg, you're going to lose your mind when we get to some of Junior's pictures. You're going to love it. I put that together late this afternoon. It's fantastic. But, of course, Jamie got us some pictures here, too, of some of the late model action. Jamie's kind of representing late models at I-70. Answer me this, Jamie. What is maybe one of your best memories at I-70 running out there and racing?
When it was dirt,
Yeah.
man, I don't know if I even won out there when it was dirt.
Yeah.
I don't. It was fast, I know that.
Yeah.
It was fast. I mean, I know when I was out there, them days, I think Beebe and, of course, Claxton and Billy Morgan, them guys were all the hot shots back then. I was still,
Yeah.
I didn't have no wedge body, no big spoiler, none of that stuff back then. But it was, I don't know, I don't think I ever won one
I'm trying.
On the dirt.
pavement.
I'm
Yeah.
testing my memory right now. I'm trying to figure out did they have weekly shows on dirt at
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
I-70?
absolutely, absolutely. And of course, the one race that I really loved at the end of the season was, I think they called it the Four Crown.
Yeah,
World
that
Cup?
was-
They'd have stock cars, midgets, sprints, and late models. They called it the Four Crown. And it was just some fantastic racing. Kenny Schrader used to come up
Yeah.
for it. And, lots of guys would drop in there.
That was probably the weekend that the asphalt had the World 400, World
Yeah.
Cup 400, I guess.
Now that one there is, I think it's Steve McDowell, 22. He's down there plowing like a truck. Rick Beebe up there, he's loose and free, and there's me driving around both of them. No, I don't think that's it, because Rick back then was he was the hot shoe back in the day at
Yeah.
I-70.
I think Rick's headed to the front there.
And I think he was driving for Goober at that time too,
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I'll be darned.
I think.
I wanted to ask you, and I'm going to ask Junior when he shows up here later on, we talk to him. Driving at that track with these high banks and speeds that you carried at I-70, how ominous was that wall? Because you had to know if you screwed up and got in it, or you were probably going to go over it,
Especially with dirt on it. 'Cause it was,
especially
yep,
with the dirt because they were so short. I mean, come on, that don't look like, what, 18 inches?
It wasn't much.
24 tops?
And it never was like level at an angle with the track. It was
Right,
more like
straight
a
up.
jump
That's what I
ramp.
say. You just that front wheel would hit it, and they just climb right over it and
Yep.
get you airborne. But I mean, man, what was it like sitting in there looking at that thing, or do you just not say, "Hey, I'm not going to look at that wall. I'm just driving the track."
Yeah, we don't pay attention to that.
Never bothered you.
No.
About where your car is at, the way they've reconfigured that track, that area is flat and it's a runoff area.
Go
About
around
where-
the top.
About where BB's car is, that would be the very top groove at the very top rim of the dirt track.
Well, have they come down on the infield then more?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's going to be flat around the bottom. And,
Well, actually,
and
I don't,
banking.
well, the 22 is, when it was dirt, you didn't want to run down there.
Uh,
You had to be where Rick was, or, well, about where I'm at. I don't know what I was doing up there, but I think do think I was driving around them.
yeah.
May
I was on
been.
the cushion.
Like I say, that'd have to be where the speed was up there. It wouldn't be
If
like
you had
Lex-
the to run up there, yeah, that's where to be.
The cojones.
Yeah, I know this is on TV, but I didn't want to say the B word.
I think cojones is approved.
Yeah,
You wear your jock strap and go for it.
that's it. Hammer down. And that track, you could almost run it flat-footed too.
Could you really?
Back in when it had a little cushion,
I'll
if
be
you lifted,
darned.
it was just for a minute.
Now, I presume you just adopted orange as a color for your cars.
I always
because
liked
it
orange.
seems like most of your cars have some orange somewhere, some way.
I told Kerry there here a couple years ago, if he ever painted his car orange
Yeah.
and put a 9 on it, he'd go about 10 miles an hour faster.
Well,
I
you never know.
I can't tell you what he told me.
Yeah, I can imagine with Tim. It was probably pretty
Oh, yeah.
good.
Oh, yeah.
It was
A
probably
lot of
pretty-
F-bombs.
He's probably wanting to prove you wrong because he used to have number 2 and he keeps going down in number there until he got to number 1 because that's probably lighter.
Yeah, less paint.
Paint.
Now, here we go. This is one of Keith's pictures, and it looks like you're starting on the pole, and
Yes.
we think that's Claxton on the outside,
I believe so.
Keith Acton on the inside of the second row, and I don't remember. He told me who them other cars were. But, gee, Greg, that's just a classic photo of I-70.
Yep.
The car in the back is black with the red stripe at the bottom. It looks like that's a number 42 as well.
It is. Well, Jamie was saying he thought maybe that was his backup car.
I didn't know if
Somebody
Gene
was
had two
driving
cars.
it.
Maybe Doug might have been driving it?
I mean, it's the
Richard?
same lettering and everything.
Seemed like I recall he had.
Gene probably couldn't remember that, but I guarantee you Wilma could.
Yeah.
Now that 171 there, that's the one that you got through, had a deal with Fred on, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. That's the one, I think that's the one I lettered,
But I don't know if Fred built that car. I don't know. Fred might have built that car. But
You
that was
know-
a sitting duck right there, being on the bottom,
Yeah.
coming out turn for it on the start. That I-70.
No way.
you gotta have that high side momentum.
Yeah, I should have just rooted Gene out of the way, and I would have had it.
There's a
Then I have to deal with him afterwards.
No kidding. I can remember Gene at the old Riverside back in the 6-cylinder days and back then. And man, I'll tell you what, anything happened on the track, you better be ready for him to show up
Oh,
at your
yeah,
fence.
you better.
I mean, he was young and hostile. That's what the word I'll use.
People say he's mellowed out, but I don't think they haven't rubbed on him yet.
17, now that's different. What is this?
This is Buzzard's car. I drove for him a few times.
Yeah?
no buzzard. The guy that,
And I don't remember. I think it's a Donnie Cooper car. But Donnie Cooper was building some cars back then. I think that was one of them.
Okay.
And I actually drove that a few times, and I started driving for Buzzard probably a couple years after that.
For people that don't know the name Buzzard, who?
That's Jim Buzzard.
Jim Buzzard.
Jim
He
Buzzard.
used to build a lot of motors. He passed away in 09, 3 years ago.
Huh.
He got to build,
Already, it's time. It just seems like yesterday.
Yeah.
got to build motors and ended up down in Walker, Missouri, right next door to Dirt Works. And he
Yep.
was building motors for those cars.
Yeah.
And then he started a restaurant in Nevada.
And that restaurant is still good.
Oh, really?
Still going, and excellent food.
I'll
If
be
you're ever
there.
in Nevada.
In Nevada, what's the name of it?
Buzz's Barbecue.
I get down there occasionally.
Go in there and eat. It's excellent.
Where's it located?
Right off the second exit.
Right by the racetrack.
Yeah,
Right
it's
by
at the
Nevada
bottom of the
Speedway.
Well,
ramp.
you go right instead of left.
Yeah.
The second
You
exit.
go to the racetrack, you go
Yeah.
down that exit ramp, and right across the street's at Buzz's Barbecue.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out. Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah, it's right there by the filling station?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I went right
Right
by
next
it.
door.
In fact, I think I ate just something there one day real quick. But anyway, Jamie, you come through the evolution of racing. I mean, you went from, so to speak, junkyard dogs to these cars that are chassis that are made for racing dirt.
Yep.
I mean, with all of the technical stuff, I mean, all the yin-yang that you want. What was more fun? Was it racing them old cars or is it being a tech guy, or not tech guy, but crew chief or whatever on this
Racing.
new stuff?
Racing's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun being the crew chief and winning and having all that's fun, but it's, I tell you, if it wasn't for my ear, I'd probably, and stuff I had to go through my ear, and
Uh-huh.
still to this day I have problems with them, but I'd probably still be racing.
Yeah.
You think racing was more fun back when the cars weren't so technical?
Well, the problem is now, this is my opinion, is it's got too expensive to build cars.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, the shocks and stuff are just
Out
way out
sight,
of
isn't
hand.
it?
Just my opinion, it's way out of hand. They've got it out of hand, but it's what everybody's doing now, so if you
Yeah.
gotta run with them, you gotta do it. But back when I raced, you put a set of, pros or put a Bilstein shocks on and go race. Now they've got these, bump stops, they got
Yep.
adjustable shocks, they got, but in order to run with them, that's what you gotta do now, Dave.
Yeah.
You gotta have your shock guy on speed dial.
Yeah.
And you gotta
yeah.
know a shot guy.
Yeah. The funny thing about it is, I think this is a fair estimate. Greg, you tell me if I'm wrong. But I'm going to say that 85% of racers agree with what you say, but nobody wants to step up and make the change. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
To make it more reasonable and.
But you know what? If I was still racing today, I'd be right there with them. I'd have to do it too if I want to run with them.
Yeah.
Well, you have to
You have
do
to.
it.
I'd be right there.
That's what I was getting
But-
ready to say.
But just to discuss this for a minute, are not some of the racing series responsible for that? Because like what they do around here, it's a deal with USRA. Like somebody said the other day, if you didn't have a USMTS car, you can't run with it.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Or now IMCA is a little better, but still, what is it, in the last few years, they've went to quick change rear ends. Now I think they are kind of leaning toward the crate motors more, but in all aspects, it's the traveling series that are dictating what's happening in racing anymore.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to not have the traveling series, because that's some of the most awesome racing in the world, man. I mean,
Yeah, but why does it have to lap over onto the local racers on the local tracks? Yes, when they come in and tour through, yeah, fine.
Yeah. Well, they're in once or twice a year.
Yeah, if they want to come in with that stuff, fine, but why do the local racers have to spend all that money to race?
restricted cars should be a weekly show car at a track that wants a good field of local drivers.
Right,
Some kind of an affordable class.
right.
But then a lot of those guys, they want to jump into USMTS race when it comes nearby or comes to town.
Oh yeah, that's big. Them guys come to town. It's big to run with them.
Yeah.
When Tim runs with them, and I'm out helping him. That's what I mean. You're right. You're like, man, we'll run with these guys. That's cool.
Okay, I give up. I agree with what you're saying. I'm just
But,
saying, I
yeah.
think honestly, in the hearts of though, 85% of racers would just assume not to spend all that money.
And now it's hard to back up.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
So-
just can't do it.
that may be why B mods are there's twice as many B mods as there are A mods.
And there's a lot more B-mod races paying a lot more money too.
Yeah.
Out in the area, and you can travel.
Right.
It's worth traveling.
But despite what we're saying, the cost of this new style of racing hasn't kept it from growing. It's huge. I mean, if you have those kind of cars at a weekly show track, yeah, it hurts the weekly show. But man, I mean, there's some fantastic racing. World of Outlaws, late models, and sprint
Yeah.
cars, and I wouldn't want to do without that.
Yeah, well, no, I'm not saying that either. I'm not saying do without them. I'm just saying that they've just become such a big influence on racing at local tracks.
Right. They have my respect, is all I got to say.
Oh,
And they,
well, yeah.
and they do draw the crowd too.
And-
Yeah, they
and
do, absolutely.
I have respect in a different way for a more of a budget class at your local racetrack. There's some badass dudes racing at their at one track every week, you know.
Mhm.
And
I mean, I've seen part of Lakeside schedule. They have a little bit of everything running.
Mhm, yeah.
I mean, they have, monster trucks, dirt bikes. I mean,
Demolition Derby.
USMTS, World Outlaws.
Yeah.
Everything coming through there.
Yeah.
That's going to be good for them.
This was a big deal here, April 7th, 1978. Spring Spectacular, speed at Lakeside Speedway. Boy, look at them cars. I mean, they actually look like stock cars.
had you raced in '78, or were you later? You were in the '80s, right?
Man, it's 78. Might have been this one right here. Might have been Old Lakeside.
Yeah.
Because I remember I was That's when my dad told Julie I would never make it.
We'll pass the press on by that. We'll bring back bad memories here.
Yeah.
I know when I talked to you, I think on the phone there the other day, you were telling me that you really sucked early on.
Yes, that was horrible.
And, but was it when things went back to asphalt that you
Started going.
kind of
And then when it
getting
came
going?
back to, when it went to asphalt, that's when it took off. But I won a lot at Riverside. I love Riverside.
Yeah,
That was the race place and the party place.
yeah,
Afterwards.
absolutely, yeah.
It was, that, I won a lot at Riverside. That was in that late model.
Yeah. One thing that, as a race fan, about Riverside was it seemed like that track with that old black gumbo really stayed tacky.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
could make a driver out of you.
Yep.
Because just like the high banks, we talked about that, I think, last week, driving on the high banks, you can miss the setup a little bit and the car's still going to do good. And it's the same way on a tacky track.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yep. Yep.
Oh, it was
Hit
a-
that cushion will save you.
Yeah.
It was like a perfect little quarter mile.
Yeah, it was.
It was perfect.
It was. And then Adrian,
Larry Castor done great with that track.
Yes, he did.
Adrian come along with another little quarter mile, but it was more the dry slick variety.
Right.
And it's just different style of driving.
Mhm.
And he paid cash.
And
That was good too.
I think this is Old Lakeside here, and whose car is this?
That's I-70, isn't it?
Let's go back.
that's I-70.
You sure that's dirt?
Yeah.
It's dirt at I-70.
Yeah, it's dry slick. So it looks pavement.
Okay.
That's like going into turn 3 or down the back straightaway.
I'll take you guys'
It's
word
dirt.
for it. Yeah, they did have a bunch of signs down that back straightaway, didn't they? Now that you bring it up, okay.
I think I even painted that Kendall sign.
Did you really?
I did a lot of signs at I-70, not too many at Lakeside.
Now what is this, Jamie?
Who was that?
I don't know. It's on your Facebook page. I couldn't, I thought it was you. I thought, uh-oh.
Oh, hell, if that was me, I had to be drinking.
How'd I get in this spot?
That had to be. Well, I had to be because apparently I don't remember it.
Okay, we'll pass on. Now, I tell you,
That right there, that's my girlfriend Jenny.
yeah,
That is Clint's golf tournament banquet.
Ah, Clint Boyers.
well, I was going to say, that's another thing, because I noticed on your Facebook page, I think it says on there, worked at Boyer Racing.
Yep. Yeah, I put that on there a few years ago. We were down in Iowa, not in Iowa, but in Speed Weeks, Daytona,
Uh-huh,
when he won the modified championship down there, the 7 days.
yeah.
So I posted it. That's why it's on there.
Oh, okay.
Been on there ever since.
Well, and somewhere here is that picture right there.
That right there, I am going to Clint's for a week. Me and Jeff Cassidy is going to Clint's for a week to hang out with him.
Wow.
And when you say Clint, is that his place in North Carolina, or?
That's North Carolina,
Yeah.
so he's headed right there.
That's also his jet.
That's his plane, but I think, last time I haven't been in it lately, but I think he sold that one, he's got another one,
Well, of course.
of course. But that one's nice. Yep, they was picking me up there at the downtown airport.
I'll be darned, man.
Does he have a home in Emporia still?
No, I don't
He's
think so.
got the dealership there. But
Yep, his dealership. My girlfriend just bought a car for me, another car.
And what'd you say her connection to Clint is?
Nothing, just she knows him through me. You know about
Oh,
your girlfriend?
yeah.
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
knows him through me.
And what was her name?
Jenny.
Jenny, okay.
Yep, that's, we're flying to North Carolina right there, me and Jeff Cassidy,
Man, it had to be a ball.
for a whole week.
Just go down there and hang out.
Oh, yeah, just hang out, and
Was this during race season or a regular season?
it was race season. They were actually off that weekend. We went to the Charlotte Speedway. His late model guys were testing,
Uh-huh.
and he had a two-seater there, and I jumped in. He says, "You want to drive?" I said, "Hell yeah, I'll drive it."
Yeah.
It's a funny story, because I got in it. Cassidy was right with me, and he's over the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And I was a duck out of water, but hell, I act like I was going somewhere. So it was really funny because it was a crate motor. The next person that got in it with a crate motor blowed up. So the next day we're at his shop, and the guys were changing the motor, and I walked by and says, Sorry, guys, I didn't mean to be so hard on it. I think I'm the one that loaded it up, probably. But that was a good one. That was a good week right there.
Oh, I bet.
You knew Clint before NASCAR, and now obviously you're still in touch with him, but is he the same Clint as he
Oh,
was?
yeah, same thing. It's so weird. I mean, I can text him during his Sundays in the booth, and he'll text me right back.
Oh, really?
That's how I found out a couple weeks ago if they were going to race or not.
Yeah.
He says, yes, they are. So
Yeah.
when they had like a 4 or 5 hour rain delay.
This is kind of your present day stuff that you do here. Of course, that's Tim Carrick, and I don't know who the guy in the
Donnie Burlington.
Oh, Donnie. Oh, okay.
Yep.
But this is kind of your sometimes Friday night gig.
That is Friday night. I love going out there on Friday nights.
Now, do you and Tim communicate really well? I mean, you're kind of in the role of a crew chief, but
Not much anymore. Jerry and Brian knows a lot more of that stuff because I'm not out there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to know all that stuff. Brian and Jerry Brown, they've really picked it up the last couple of years, so they've been doing great.
Mm.
And of course, Tim, he's like a bulldog. He's got that brand new car, so he's not going to quit soon.
Yeah, no, I don't think he will either.
No.
It's not in him, I don't think. But
And with Lakeside and Orangeburg going NASCAR, which I think is good, but he'll run both of them, I'm sure.
yeah,
mm-hmm.
Kind of not associated with this picture, but I believe you told me in 1989 you won both track championships.
It
at
was
Lakeside.
91.
Okay, 91. Both track championships at Lakeside and I-70
The same
on
year.
asphalt.
On the same year, yep. Same year.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody else has ever done that. Do you?
I think Ron Hartford finally did it a couple years after I did.
Did he?
Yep.
Okay. But still, that's a lot of time and dedication. I mean, did you own that car, or were you driving for somebody?
I owned all my cars. The only one I didn't own is when I drove for Huey, but I ended up buying it.
Uh-huh.
And Buzzard's car, he ended up buying one from Gene Claxton, which was a Bullet car. Another good story. He bought it from Gene because Gene didn't want to go to a single sprint back in the day.
Uh-huh.
So Buzzard bought it. He had me drive it. And the first night out, we beat Gene with it.
Oh, really?
First night out.
How you like that in Lee Springs now?
Well, he was struggling with that new car because that single leaf, he didn't really like it afterwards.
Yeah.
Anytime you can beat Gene Claxton back in them days,
Oh, no kidding.
that's big.
Absolutely. I think this is a repeat. We had this picture up
Right.
earlier.
Yep.
Still
But,
good-looking car, though. I like that.
Yeah.
Don't I have is that the Tim Carrick shirt or Tom Carrick shirt on?
Well, let's see in this picture. Can you see it back here? Yeah, it's a one.
Yep.
Yeah, Carrick, it
Yep.
says.
Yep, that's Tom. His t-shirts, yep.
I'll be darned.
Damn, I still look that good.
This was a Harris car, wasn't it?
That was that could have, no, that was a late model. I don't, man. No, that's Donnie Cooper car. I want to say
Oh,
Red
is it?
Line chassis. That's Donnie Cooper.
Okay.
Donnie Cooper built that car in Sedalia.
Two questions.
Yep.
One, which did you prefer at I-70, asphalt or dirt?
Asphalt.
Okay.
In general, which
If
do
I
you
was
prefer?
racing now,
Yeah.
I would love to go out there and try it again right now.
Oh, I bet.
On dirt.
Yeah.
That place looks amazing. I bet they spent a lot of money. And I guess they had open house this weekend, right?
Sunday.
I think so, yeah.
Sunday. So people need to go out and check it out. They've done a hell of a job. And I've seen pictures of the track.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fast.
Okay. What was
Now, if I was back when I started there, I wasn't that good. But now,
Mhm.
if I had both the race, I'd love to try it again.
Yeah. How hard was it for you to switch from the dirt back to the asphalt?
Very tough.
I mean, what did you have a learning curve? Now, you say you won that points championship in '91.
Mm-hmm.
Had you run asphalt then again for a couple of years before you
I
did
think
that?
1 year, the year before,
Just 1 year?
because it was in '90. Is I believe I went to Jeff Senior and Holt Summit Speedway, Capital Speedway,
Uh-huh.
and Holt Summit, and I run a whole year down there, and ended up second in the points. And I-70, I believe, was pavement then because I would come back home some nights,
Go by there.
and I'd be passing some of the cars, because Carrick was racing there
Uh,
that year when I was racing dirt, in Whole Summit. We always called each other
Uh-huh.
to see how each other, how we did that night.
Yeah. I'll be darned.
So I'm pretty sure it was 89, 88, 89 was probably dirt, and then 90, I might be a year or two off, is when they went back to pavement.
Okay. Yeah, I've lost track of all that. I can't
Yeah.
keep track
So
of
we're
it.
talking about the I-70 difference between dirt and pavement, but if you, at this point right now, at your age, if you were going to choose, am I going to be a dirt racer or an asphalt racer, which would you choose?
Dirt.
Dirt.
Yeah, there's no asphalt track to run at.
Yeah.
Well, no, that you got so many different lanes to try. When you run a pavement, you either got top, middle. When you run dirt, you got bottom, middle. Try the top.
Uh-huh.
You got. That's. I mean, if you're trying to get around somebody, you got more choices, in my opinion,
Uh-huh.
on dirt. At least on dirt, you can bump them, and make it not look so bad.
Yeah.
But you do it on pavement, it looks bad.
Yeah, they just spin out.
Which I never
easily.
done that, but
Yeah.
I've seen Claxton in somebody's video watching at Bristol. Did you watch it at any of the races?
no, I did
The
not.
Dirt Bristol episodes?
Nope.
I think that was very interesting. That was a key point in our development.
A lot of people I know went. Clint's team won down there, I guess, a couple weeks ago.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah, his 14 car,
Yep.
Josh Richards.
What is your fondest memory of running at I-70? A good race with somebody, a crash, or just a good time hanging out with friends? Just something that,
Snap-on night. It paid good.
yeah.
It was always like a 50 lapper. And when you won it, of course, you got to see all the Snap-on girls. And you got to check all the new tools that the Snap-on men had.
Yeah.
It was big. It was always a big year when we had Snap-on night.
Did
I
they-
won it a couple of times.
Did they give you a gift certificate
Yep.
for Snap-on
Yep.
stuff?
Yep. And they actually put money on top of the purse too. It was
Yeah.
Snap-on night. It was good. It was good nights.
Okay. I think you already named a few, but let's stay with the dirt since we're talking about I-70 going back to dirt. Who were, in your opinion, the best drivers at that time? I know we had a list up there a while ago of that entry that was in that one race.
When it was dirt,
Yeah, when it was dirt. Let's
back
talk
in
about dirt.
89, 90.
Whatever.
Yeah. The pictures we showed with me, BB, Rick Beebe
Yeah.
was a bad man. Claxton, Billy Moyer. I think Doug Richards was running back then too, which I
Mhm.
think that's him in that picture
Oh,
to the left.
yeah.
Kaczynski's, of course, every
Oh,
time
yeah.
they come,
Right.
Yeah,
they was on a different zip code.
yeah.
I think Billy Moyer ran there a few times. Don Hoffman,
Yes,
the number 2 car.
yeah. I
Right.
remember that name. Mhm.
Pizza Hut.
And there was so many of them that came up and run that track because it was so fast.
Ken
Yeah.
Walton.
Who?
Kenny Walton, another
Yep,
Iowa guy.
yep,
when he comes in,
02.
02.
Yep.
There was that
Well, Schrader probably
I'm
ran
sure
there
he
a
did
couple
too.
times
Schrader
too,
did too.
didn't he?
Yeah.
I'm
Not
sure
Wallace,
he
with either one of the Wallaces, or?
Mike Wallace may have, but
did. He might have too.
Rusty Wallace
Yeah.
was the pre-dirt era.
Yeah.
And Kenny Wallace, he kind of bounced around. I don't think he did any dirt until after his NASCAR
streak.
days.
Yeah, by the way, speaking of NASCAR, if you guys saw it, Jennifer Jo Cobbs
Yeah.
had a
That
race
cup ride.
NASCAR
In
in
the cups.
Talladega,
Yep.
which would not want me, I wouldn't want it to be my first race, but
Well,
anyway.
it's going to be good for her. She's got plenty of experience.
Oh, heck yes.
And being, restrictor, you'll be able to hang with them in the drafts and stuff. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be good for her. I hope she does very well.
Oh, I do
She's got a
too.
lot of seat time.
Yeah,
actually.
boy, does she ever. I mean, whatever she gets, she's earned.
Yep.
Let's put it that way.
Yes.
She's had the seat time, as they say. Absolutely. Well, Jamie, man, I tell you what, it's been a ball here tonight, kind of reminiscing and talking about this stuff.
This is great. I love doing stuff like this. It just brings back all the fun times and a lot of great memories with your buddies and friends out there.
Yeah.
Which I still got a lot of them to this day. I don't think I ever had any enemies. Probably had some that didn't like me, but I know I had some fans that didn't like me. But
If you ever won very much, you had both of those.
that, yeah.
For
But
sure.
that's good though. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good for racing.
But I know there's got to be some folks, and I know it's been years, but there were some people, I'm sure, that helped you out during this time
Oh,
frame
yeah.
in your career. is there anybody that you can think of right now that you'd kind of like to say, hey, man, appreciate, these people with
Well,
the
of course, Jim Buzzard, of course. Of course, he's been gone for 3 years now. He was a big influence. Huey, of course, he's like a dad to me. He's had some eye issues, and I want to talk to him. I see him every time I'm off. I go just make sure, 'cause I know his health at one time was, but he's been very special to me. And Goober, of course, Goober, he was the only person I know that I wrecked one time at I-70, bad. And I called him, and he said, where's the car? I said, it's at my dad's in Liberty. He said, well, how bad is it? I said, well, I think the frame horn might be bent. He says, what's it doing at Liberty? I said, well, it's all my dad's rollback. He said, what the hell's it doing on your dad's rollback if it ain't very bad? When he come out and looked at it, he says, oh, there's no way. You're going to put a stub on us. And it fractured my tailbone, so I couldn't sit down. I was limping around there. And he says, then I says, we got a race Friday. He said, you ain't racing Friday, not with this car. I said, Goober, I got to race Friday and Saturday. We got to. We ain't going to do it. Well, we did it. He fixed it. He was always the one that said, we ain't fixing that. I ain't got time. But he was big on my racing.
One of the helper-outers, big time.
Another dad.
Yep. My dad was big. Tom Carrick, he was big. Him and my dad were always friends. They always talked, and and I think what helped me be a racer was racing as Claxton and Carrick and them. They bring the best out in you.
Well, absolutely.
It makes you want to drive harder.
There again, I've said this before. I think you always race up to the competition. If you don't, you're not going to have a good time.
No.
If you're not competitive with them, it's just not going to be as much fun.
No, and if you don't feel like you can run with them, then you shouldn't even. You shouldn't even go. But you got to have that mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going there to win. I ain't going to run second.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's a lot of my. And like we talked earlier with Tim's car and stuff, and them guys all stepping up, Brian and Andy and Jerry Brown, and of course Tim. He's always got he's got fire bill on him, but I don't know what keeps him going. I mean, he's nonstop, but he'll get one. It's been a few years that he's won out there, but I know it's eating at him.
Yeah.
And I want to be a part of it. Hope he does this soon.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Still in my fire. So I like going to Lakeside every Friday if I can.
Yeah, I miss it terribly. I really do.
Yeah.
It's a fun place. It's kind of been my Friday night destination for years.
Oh, it's been mine too for years. Yeah,
for
we go
years.
out there.
I mean, back to the old Lakeside.
And we don't do good. We're mad for a little bit, but once we get into the adult beverages,
Yeah. Who cares?
we're good. We're good after that.
There's always next week.
We'll get it next week.
Always next week.
I'll see you boys next week.
But anyway, Jamie, I appreciate you getting the pictures together.
Sure.
That was nice of you to do that. I'm glad we finally made the connection because, like I say, you were the guy I wanted to have on here when we were talking about racing at I-70 because I knew you had raced out there for several years.
Yeah, I've raced. Yeah, dirt and pavement. The old Lakeside I raced dirt pavement at Lakeside, and Riverside. Won championships at both of them. Yeah, it's. And I'm glad you're doing this to bring back stuff and get the fire back in people like me. Hell, it's just.
Nobody
Racing's
cares.
in your blood, man.
Nobody
it's just,
cares.
No,
Yeah.
it's in your blood. It's in there.
Yeah.
And it's in there for a long time.
Yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
What I think is so special about the relationship with all the Kansas City racers that go back to the time of Jim Hager, your dad, the friendship, stop and think about it. He was friends with Tom Carrick, and you're still friends with. There's another generation to come,
Even, I forgot one. For Tom Charles, back in the day when I was a kid, he was one of them guys that I could hang out with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was when I was real young. He told me some stories here last year that I'd done that I don't remember doing. That I can't say on here, but Tom and Dee were good people to me when I was young.
Yeah,
Back
absolutely.
in the Riverside days and stuff, but there's a lot more. I can't mention them all, but that's just, I appreciate everybody, all my fans, all the people that have cheered for me and that still like me today.
Yeah.
It just means a lot, friendship does.
Absolutely. It's just part of the racing family and just a good time that we all get to enjoy on Fridays and Saturdays.
Yes.
And maybe Sunday this week with all the rain that's supposed to be.
Tomorrow's supposed to be terrible,
Yeah.
I say.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna rain some out, but,
If I
Greg,
forget anybody, I'm sorry. It's hard to remember everybody, but I appreciate you guys doing this. It's really
it's
cool.
fun.
It is fun.
Me and
Now-
Greg eat this up, don't we, Greg?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you guys got some stories, so you guys got some,
Well,
and you come up with good questions too.
yeah, well, thank you, I appreciate that. I work
Yeah,
at it.
yeah.
But, Greg, you got anything you want to sum that up? Because we're actually closing the show right now.
Well, the races at Friday night races at Liberty Bend, which is KC Raceway,
Uh-huh.
canceled already.
Oh, they have?
Yeah, but I
Did
can't.
Lakeside cancel or did they not?
I'm not sure about.
I don't
Lakeside.
think they were running, because I went through and had a list today of tracks that were running. Now, Lakeside's having a testing tune, I think, and I can't
No, they
remember
had
when.
the B-Mod 3000 to win tomorrow night.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Well, there'll be rain in the area tomorrow, so.
Well, I was
Yeah.
actually planning on going, but I talked to Tim. He says, "Well, we're not racing this Friday. The A-Mods ain't racing, but it was the
Oh.
B-Mod special."
Well, now, I seen a thing on their Facebook page, but I didn't actually see that it was today. I'll tell you, folks, you better get on Lakeside's
Check it
webpage
out.
and check it
Yes.
out to
Before
make
you head
sure,
out there.
because I could be wrong.
If it don't rain, check with Lakeside tomorrow.
There you
They
go.
probably are racing. If you want me to come out there, promote and PR, I'll be glad to.
Anyway, Greg, you got anything you want to sum up? I know we
Oh,
haven't done Junior yet, but
I just want to mention our mutual friends, Ed and Dean Houston. I know that you knew that.
He got me these pictures.
Did he?
Ed did.
Yeah.
Ed did.
And Dean says he's got a lot more.
Yeah, my boy used to work with Dean up at Ming.
The detail shop?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
No,
Okay.
they've been like your publicity machine for the last few years.
Eddie, he used to help me with my car.
Oh, he's a big Tim fan too.
Oh, he is too. Yep.
Man,
Yep. He is.
I
big
mean,
time.
serious.
He used to go out there during the week too, but it got
Yeah.
so hard on him, and
Yeah.
he just had shoulder replacement
Oh, did he?
2 weeks ago. I seen him when he brought me
Yeah.
the picture. He's having a hard time with it.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he lives down in Northtown.
Yep.
If I remember right. But anyway, that's it, Greg.
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, folks, all I want to say is I hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. I'll tell you what, these are so much fun to do,
Very
to
fun.
get these old timers here out and see these pictures,
Oh.
which are just fantastic. But as we always say, if you enjoyed the show, call someone, tell a friend, start a
Yes.
watch party, do whatever. Just let them know what we're doing here. And if you didn't like the show, we understand that too, because we probably didn't have your favorite driver on this week. So, check back on Facebook, see what's going to be on Cheeseworks, and, you might want to set in with us. But we understand if you don't. But I think for right now, for Greg Clemens, Jamie Hager, and myself, I'm going to wish you all a good evening.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Come and support your local racetracks.
Right.
Support your local racetracks. Come and see us.
That's right.
All right. But anyway, that's going to do it for tonight, folks. Like I say, tune in next week. Check on Facebook. Find out who's going to be on. If it's somebody you like, why, we'll be here. We just need you.
I'll come back if you ask.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right. We don't got to rush off yet. I want to let you know, man, it was a great show, by the way. Junior Parkinson and Jamie Hager, can't beat that.
Yep.
Sprint car and late model guy both have raced at I-70 Speedway and I-70 firing back to life.
Yeah.
This weekend season openers include CMS, Friday nights at Dallas County Speedway, Saturday night Lakeside, or Friday night Lakeside Open practice, I guess, on Wednesday, Saturday Nevada, and US 36 will be their opener.
On Friday. There again, check that weather forecast, and, by late afternoon they will post whether they
Right.
think they'll be able to run or not. But it sounds like with the rain that's forecast, it's going to be a tough go for anybody. But as Greg said, hope you enjoyed the show, had a good time. And like I say, great guests. One of these weeks, we're actually going to get around to doing some race coverage. But until we do,
We got to
Yeah,
get
next-
through rainy season.
why, we're probably just going to continue in this same theme that we've been doing, because me and Greg's having a ball. I hope you are, because we're enjoying the heck out of this. But Greg, closing comment.
Just Valley Speedway Saturday night. If it doesn't rain, we'll see you there.
Yeah, well, that's in a floodplain, so we'll see how Friday plays out. But also, I-35 and I think Old 71 both announced, if they get rained out, that they will run Sunday.
And I'll be at I-70 watching practice.
So you know, we've got another shot at it Sunday, but folks, that's going to do it for tonight. On behalf of Greg Clemens and myself, well, I'm just going to say good night. Hope you enjoyed the show, and come back and see us next week. We'll be here.
All righty then.
Good night.
Good night.